Hello everyone, my name is Alexis and welcome to today's Spring Equinox Ritual. I'm so excited to share this class with you. Make sure that you do have a journal with you. We'll be journaling a little bit later. You might want a block or two. You might want a meditation cushion. We're going to start in just a quick seated little reflection and grounding. So I'm sitting up on a cushion. I invite you to sit however is comfortable. We're going to start with a mudra. This is the Vayu mudra. The Vayu mudra it represents the air element. It's a very easy mudra. You're just going to bring your pointer finger down to the pad of your thumb, wrap your thumb to hold that pointer finger in place, and your other three fingers spread out nice and wide. And then you can just rest the backs of your hands on your knees or your thighs. Close your eyes here. Begin to breathe. Feel the ground beneath you, the steadiness and sturdiness of the earth. The spring equinox is the time when light comes back. We've made it through the darkness of winter, the hibernation, and the rest. And spring comes with promises of growth and blooming into the things that we hope for. Spring is the setup for the abundance of summer and autumn. And spring is the gentle reawakening back into the light, into the world, into the air. The element related to spring is air, which is why we're using this particular mudra, air, to connect to this potential that spring holds. Spring, of course, is when we see baby animals, we see new blooms, we see bulbs bursting up out of the ground. It's the time to plant seeds, work in gardens. It's the time when trees start growing leaves. Nature begins to wake up. And because we are also part of nature, we are made of nature as well, we start to wake up. We start to move and expand back into the world after that restful period of winter. So throughout this class, the yoga and the journaling and the meditation, we're going to be exploring that idea of emerging out of that period of rest into whatever potential the rest of this year holds. The beautiful thing about spring is that it comes every year. So if there are things you plant, if there are hopes you hold on to that don't come to fruition this year, keep that in the back of your mind that spring will come again. It always comes again. And the opportunities for us to plant and emerge never cease. Go ahead and open your eyes. And if you were seated up on a cushion or a block, set it aside and come to a narrow-legged child's pose. You can send the arms back by your sides, rest the forehead on the mat. And I want you to envision yourself as a seed. Seeds, of course, get planted in the darkness, and they wait for the right conditions. And we, like plants, need the right conditions to grow and to thrive. One of my favorite quotes is that humans are essentially like plants, just with more complicated emotions. All beings in nature thrive under specific conditions. And you yourself know what those conditions are that you will thrive under. Begin to rock side to side in your child's pose here. Begin brainstorming. What conditions do you need to thrive? Continue swaying and reach the left arm out in front of you, staying in your child's pose. And then reach the right arm out in front of you, still swaying side to side. And very gently lift yourself up halfway. Inhale and exhale, lower back into your child's pose. Inhale, lift up just a little bit. Exhale, back into child's pose. Inhale, open up through the chest. Exhale, back into child's pose. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, child's pose. One more time. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, child's pose. And on your next inhale, lift yourself all the way forward through tabletop into upward facing dog, dropping the hips toward the mat. And then exhale back into child's pose. Inhale, send the hips forward, lift the chin, upward dog, back. Exhale, child's pose. Continue moving forward into up dog and exhaling back into child's pose, gently emerging out of the seed child's pose that we started in. On your next inhale, slide yourself forward so you come to rest on your belly, and bring your arms beneath your elbows, beneath your shoulders, so you come into Sphinx. It might feel nice to sway gently side to side, sway the shoulders, sway the hips, wiggle the toes and the fingers. We are moving our bodies up and out of the rest of child's pose into more expansive postures, inviting air into our lungs to lift us up and out. Lower your chest to the mat, bring your hands under your shoulders, and lift yourself up into a full cobra. Big breath in. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, push into the hands, full cobra. Exhale, lower down. Move fluidly. Allow your breath to guide you up and release you down. Air is fluid like water, like wind. Allow it to propel you where you need to go in this class. Bring your hands under your shoulders, press yourself all the way up into upward facing dog next, and then send the hips back, coming into tabletop pose. Shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, and make whatever movements feel good here. It could be swaying the hips side to side, it could be cat-cows, it could be body rolls, moving the torso in one direction and then the other. It could be just sending the hips forward and back. It could be some combo of all of those. Find what feels good here, gently waking up your spine, your hips, your shoulders, your whole body here in this tabletop pose. Make one more rotation or movement of whatever you were doing. And then bring your right foot to the outside of your right hand. We're coming into a lizard pose. You can keep your left knee on the mat and move the hips side to side. You can make big circles with the hips. Again, find what feels good, but invite in movement. Keep yourself flowing with your breath, allowing the air in your lungs to propel you around in circles or side to side. Beautiful. Maybe find a moment of stillness, letting your hips sink forward. And then heel toe your right foot so you come into a low lunge. You might want your blocks here. We're going to move through low lunge, lifting up through the chest, letting the hips sink forward, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears, and then sending the hips back on the exhale into half split. Inhale forward, low lunge, expand across the chest. Exhale back, half split. You don't need to straighten your leg completely in half split. Keep moving like that. Inhaling forward, low lunge. Exhaling back, half split. Again, find that fluidity of the breath propelling you forward and back. And next time you land in half split, just rest in half split. Feel the stretch on the back of your leg. Beautiful. Inhale yourself forward back into low lunge. Send the right knee back to meet the left. Take a little intermission here to make any other movements in your hips, your back, cat-cows, body rolls, hip sways, whatever feels good here before we move to the other side. And switch directions if you were doing body rolls in one direction. And then we'll bring the left foot to the outside of the left hand, coming into lizard pose on the left side. And again, sway the hips side to side. Make big circles with the hips. Find movement and fluidity. This should not be a static stretch. This should be dynamic, a little active. If you make circles in one direction, make sure you make them in the opposite direction as well. And then take one breath to rest in a still lizard pose. And then heel toe that left foot in so you come into a low lunge. So your hips are square. Inhale, open up across the chest. You might want blocks here. And exhale back into your half split pose. And once again, allow your breath to propel you forward on the inhale into low lunge and back into half split on the exhale. Feel the air fill your chest, your breath guiding your movement. If you look closely at a tree, you will see where it is influenced most by wind. You can let yourself rest in your half split for a breath. Trees respond to how wind affects them, how wind blows. So you can always look at a tree and tell which side is exposed to the most wind. Fun little fact. Inhale forward into your low lunge. Set your blocks aside and send that left knee back to the right. And we're going to come to stand up on our knees. If you want a blanket or a cushion underneath your knees, please grab one. We're going to start with a very gentle baby back bend. Bring your hands to your low back like you're going to slide your fingers into your jean pockets. All you're going to do here is glide your elbows together as if you could bring your shoulder blades to kiss behind you and spread across the collarbone. You're not coming into a deep back bend. You're not even lifting the chin. Keep the chin parallel and broaden across the collarbones, and then release it. Beautiful. Well done. Now, if you would like to go a little further, keep the hands and arms as they are. Send the shoulders back, the shoulder blades back, the elbows back, and then maybe lift the head and see if you can lean back just a little bit. Big breath in. And exhale, release. This time, you have the option to continue that, do that baby back bend again. If you would like to go into full camel, you are welcome to, but I would advise caution as we are still moving pretty slowly and delicately. Wherever you were in your back bends, straighten up, lift the arms up overhead, and exhale, fold forward so the top of your head comes down to the mat, coming into rabbit pose. Inhale, lift the arms up to the ceiling. Exhale, rabbit pose, top of the head comes to the mat. Most of the weight is in the knees. Your head is very lightly touching the mat. Inhale up, exhale down, and rest here in your rabbit pose. Feel the mat beneath you, and then lift up into your tabletop pose and make your way into your first downward facing dog. Press through the feet. Press through the hands. Make sure the biceps are by the ears and maybe walk it out, bending one knee and then the other. We are continuing to emerge. And then walk the feet forward to the hands into your forward fold. Sway side to side, maybe clasp opposite elbows or interlace the fingers behind the head. Press through the feet and roll yourself very slowly all the way up to standing. Head is the last thing to come up. Inhale the arms up overhead and exhale the hands to heart center. Very nice. Transfer the weight into your left leg and lift the right knee up. Open it out just as far as it naturally goes. And then bring the right foot into the left thigh, the left shin, or resting by the left ankle for your tree pose. We started this as a as a seed, and now we've grown all the way up into tree pose. And if you would like, you can inhale the arms up overhead like the branches of a tree, reaching up to the sky. Feel the firmness of your foot rooting down into the ground, and then feel the lift, the way that you lift yourself up towards the sky like a tree. Keep breathing. If you had your arms reached up overhead, bring your hands back to center. Let the right foot come to the mat. And then we'll do the other side. Transfer the weight into the right foot. Lift the left knee up. Open the left knee out to the side, just as far as it naturally goes. And then that left foot comes to the right thigh, right shin, or the right ankle for your tree pose once again. You can keep your hands on your hips at heart center, or again, inhale the arms up towards the ceiling, like branches of a tree. Imagine you're reaching up towards the sun, expanding and growing up and out of the ground beneath you. And if you fall out of these balances, don't worry, just come right back into it. If you had your arms extended, bring your palms together, back to heart center. Let the left leg come back to the mat. We're going to make our way back down to the floor with a grounding pose. So, feet a little bit wider than the hips, toes out, heels in, and sink down to your Malasana Yogi squat. And it might feel nice to rock side to side on the feet here, swiveling the hips. Malasana can be a bit touchy sometimes if you haven't opened up your hips much today. So do what you need to do. Rest wherever you are. It doesn't matter if you're higher up in your squat. And if you are uncomfortable in Malasana, you can just come to a seated position. But if you are in Malasana, press your elbows into your thighs. Take a big breath in. And on the exhale, pop your bum back onto the mat. Grab your journal here in your seated position. This is, if you've practiced with me before, this is no surprise. I love to use blocks to create a little desk so I can journal in yoga postures. And your journaling prompt today is, what do I want to nurture and grow this season? Spring, of course, like all other seasons, lasts 3 months. So picture the next 3 months from today in March to the end of June. In that period of growth and expansion, what do you want to nurture? What do you want to plant and guide and grow? I'll leave you to a little bit of silence to think and journal on that question. Finish your thought and know that you can always come back to this journal prompt. Set your journal aside. If you were using blocks, set them aside. And we're coming into our final meditation. So Make yourself comfortable, whether that's sitting up on a cushion, the edge of a chair, next to a wall, whatever you need. We're going to bring back that mudra again, bringing the pointer finger down to the pad of the thumb and wrapping the thumb around that pointer finger so the other 3 fingers extend along. And bring the backs of the hands to rest in the lap. And I want you to think about, what did you just journal on? What is that thing that you want to nurture and grow? And if you had a couple things, just pick one. And imagine it as a seed. Maybe it's like a peach pit. Maybe it's like a itty bitty little mustard seed. Picture that idea as a seed and envision yourself planting it into dark brown earth, full of nutrients, water, vitamins, all the important things that little seed needs to grow. Envision yourself covering it with soil, giving it a little pat. And then, for the remainder of your meditation, I want you to envision that seed, that idea, that thing that you want to nurture and grow. Envision it growing up out of the earth into a little sprout, and then into a green vine, into a flower, a bush, a tree, whatever it is. Envision your idea growing into a plant, a happy, healthy, colorful, bright plant. Let your imagination, let your intuition guide this visualization. And as you see this plant growing, think on a few simple things. The necessary conditions that this idea, this thing needs to grow and thrive. Release your visualization, and once again, remind yourself that even if that little idea doesn't grow to fruition like you would like it to, there are always future chances, always future evaluations, to remind yourself of how and when to best pursue those things you want to nurture and grow. There are always second chances. You can rest your hands in your lap comfortably and take a big breath in through the nose. Let it out the mouth. And take a big breath in, lifting the arms down, around, and up overhead. And exhaling the hands down through to heart center. Take another big breath in and out through the nose or the mouth. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me for the Spring Equinox Ritual. I really hoped you love it. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.